Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Texas Mortgage Boss Podcast. My name is James J. And today I am excited to start a new series. We are in the month of June, and June is National Homeownership Month. So there is a big push for home ownership education, okay? Just the pride of ownership that comes with owning a home versus renting. Um, the benefits to the community, the pride in the community when people are owning. So June is a specific month that has been designated as homeownership month. I think every month is homeownership month, but June specifically is designated for that. So what we're going to do this month, we're going to talk all about credit, okay? Because without credit, you won't get it. I like that. Without credit, you won't get it. So we're going to start off today with 7 ways to manage your credit. 7 ways to manage your credit. You want to know how to get yourself in a position to own a home? This series is going to help. Let's go. All right, guys. So 7 ways to manage credit. Now, there may be other ways. I'm going to give you 7 today. 7 very important things that you want to recognize and look into as you start to pursue home ownership. These are very important if you're going to be able to obtain a mortgage. Now, if you've got money and you want to pay cash for a home, you can do that. None of this is going to matter as it relates to owning a home and financing that home. Now, credit is going to play a big part in every part of your life. I don't care whether it's purchasing a home, renting a home, buying a car, buying furniture, it doesn't matter. You still need to have the credit in order to get it. It's my favorite line right now. If your credit won't get it, we need to do something about it. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share screens. So I've got a little presentation here I want to share with you guys to be able to really drive home the importance and the point that I'm trying to get across as it relates to credit. So let's share screens and we will get into this. So we're going to start here with the first look at your credit profile. Now, it seems very basic, right? And simple. The reality is a lot of people don't do this. So you can get a copy of your credit report and find out what your actual credit score is. This is very important, guys. You cannot be on the sideline with your credit, just watching from the sidelines like, I don't know what's going on. That is not the way to do it. You have got to be proactive. So you need to address what's on that credit report. If you don't know, order it. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything to get your credit report. So what does cost is when you want to maybe get a credit score, right? You want to know what your credit score is. And sometimes when we get people that are telling us their credit score is a 650 or a 700 to 750, whatever it is, the first question I want to know is, where did you get that score from? Okay. If you tell me Credit Karma, I'm going to smile and say Credit Karma is great for tracking things on your credit, but the score is not the same. Okay, that's not really what I want to say. But the reality is Credit Karma does a lot of marketing and people follow it and they look at it and they believe a lot of what's on there as far as scores go. Okay. Scoring for a Credit Karma score and scoring for a mortgage credit score is not the same. So if you tell me you have a Credit Karma score, I'm going to very politely tell you we need to get a credit. We need to look at your credit from a mortgage perspective because it's not the same. So not your fault. Credit Karma does a great job of marketing, but the scoring is not the same. So get a copy of your credit report. This is very simple. And if you don't recognize some of the stuff on there, then we need to address it. Okay. Second thing here, punctuality is a virtue. What does that mean? Punctuality is a virtue. Well, you need to pay your bills on time. I mean, you got to pay on time. Okay. Your credit score can drop dramatically if you miss a payment. Dramatically. So while you're putting all this effort in trying to increase your scores, you forget about a payment, a car payment. You forget, oh, I forgot to make that credit card payment. It will drop your score significantly. And it's very, very difficult to get your score to increase as fast as it drops. Let me say that again. It is very difficult to get your score to increase as fast as it drops. All right. So you miss a payment, your score will drop in a matter of, it could be 10 points to 20 points. You miss a payment, depending on what the payment is for. You miss a mortgage payment, then your score could drop 50, 60, 70 points. It just depends on what the payment is for. That's what determines how much your score will drop. But the point of this is you don't want to miss any. All right. You do not want to miss any payments because it will drop your score in a heartbeat. All right. Keep 1% on your credit cards. Now, I want to explain this one really good because I have a lot of people that like to pay down their credit cards to zero. That doesn't help you if you're trying to boost your score. Okay. So I always tell people you want to keep your limit, or excuse me, you want to keep the balance of your credit cards, your revolving debt, to 10% or less of what's available. So if you have $1,000 credit line, you want to keep your balance at least at $100 or less. You do not want to pay it to zero. And I see this often. People pay everything to zero and they wonder why the score is not changing. All right. You actually have to have a balance to show the credit bureaus that you're actually using credit rather than paying it down to zero. And in your mind, you think it's a good thing. And I completely understand. Again, this is not your fault. But this is kind of a game. All right. It's a credit game. And they make the rules. We just have to play by them or choose not to play by it and pay cash for everything. It's your call. 1%. Okay. So if, again, in that same scenario, if you have $1,000 credit line, 1%, $10. So you just want to keep a small balance on your credit cards to actually have something to report to the credit bureau. If there's nothing to report to the credit bureau, you may not have a score, right? You may not have a score. There are people that have paid everything off and maybe they haven't had credit in 6 months. Well, if you don't have any credit, you may very well not have a score. So this keeping it at 1% on credit cards is just something to keep the bureaus engaged with your credit profile and realize, okay, these people are using credit. They're not using a lot of their credit available, which is a good thing. And that will help boost your score. So this is a big one because I see a lot of people paying everything down to zero. And again, your situation is very different. If you don't need to increase your score, no big deal. If you're trying to increase your score, this is the way to do it. Next thing is here, be careful when you're shopping around. So shopping around for credit can hurt you in the sense that every time you shop around for credit, it's an inquiry. Okay. An inquiry can reduce your score 2 to 3 points every time you do it. So you do not want to be putting in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 applications for credit cards because you went to Target and they said, hey, you want to save 10%? Apply here. And then you went to Old Navy. Hey, you want to save 10%? Apply here. Right. Then you went to Walmart. Hey, you want to listen. They're trying to get you to save 10%. So they know the psychology of humans. And once you get that credit card, you spend more. You just do. People spend more on credit card than they will on credit than they will if they're paying cash for something. I'm not saying you can't have a credit card or you shouldn't, because you really should if you're trying to build up your credit, but you have to be responsible with this. So you get a credit card. If you max it out, it's going to hurt your score. Right. So you got to be really, really responsible for this. But you want to make sure you're not shopping all over the place for credit cards, because every time you get an inquiry, it's going to affect your score. All right. So be very, very careful with that. Next thing here, don't be a credit junkie. Okay. This is a big one because I've seen people with 10, 14, 15, 20 credit cards. I don't even know how you sleep at night. This is a big one. You don't want to have too much credit. All right. Ideally, a couple of credit cards, an installment loan, a car, maybe if you've got a student loan, which a lot of people do, but that's an installment loan. But a car, maybe a student loan or a personal loan of some sort. If you've got a mortgage already, that's fine. And then a couple of credit cards. That's about it. Like, you don't want to put yourself in a position where you've got 14, 15, because what happens is you have to manage all of that, right? You've got 15 credit cards. You have to manage all of that. It's a lot to manage. It really is. And so ideally, again, you want your balances to be 10% or less. So if you got a $500 credit card balance and you have a $500 credit card limit and you have a balance of 250, well, just like that, you're at 50% usage. That hurts your score. For that very small amount of $500, it hurts your score, because the way the algorithm reads it is you've got a $250 balance on a $500 credit limit. That's 50% usage. Okay, it's pulling down your score. So be very careful with this. You do not want to have a ton of credit cards. It is ideal to have a couple, 2, 3, maybe an installment loan, and you will see your score increase if you just kind of manage those 2 to maybe 4 accounts. You're going to see a very significant boost in your credit score. So you do not want to be a credit junkie, guys. This is very, very important. And I see this often where people have a ton of credit cards, and the way the bureaus look at it and the way lenders look at it, if you're relying on your credit cards all the time, in a lender's eyes, that means you can't manage money. It's just how it is. All right. Like it or not, that's how it is. Let's move on. Fix up other mistakes. So there are a lot of mistakes on credit bureaus. Okay. This takes us back to number one, which, if you're not looking at your credit report, you're not going to know what mistakes are on there. So you need to know, you need to look. And if there are mistakes, reach out to myself as a lender, or you can reach out to a credit restoration company that can help you. And a lot of this stuff, actually all of this stuff, you can do on your own. Okay. The reason why credit restoration is a big deal, or it may play a factor for you, and it's not for everybody, but for a lot of people it is, because it's time consuming. Okay. You can do all this stuff on your own. It's very time consuming. Credit restoration companies know what to do, how to do it, and how to submit documentation to these bureaus to make sure mistakes get removed and they make sure your credit report is accurate. Okay. So if you need a referral for credit restoration, I have a great one. So just hit me up, shoot me a DM, and I will get you their information. But you want to make sure you're checking your credit report. Make sure there's no inaccuracies on that report. Again, 70% has at least one error. That one error could be something that's dragging your score down and keeping you from being able to qualify for a home. All right. Be regular. All right. So again, this goes back to being proactive and checking your credit report often. All right. Identity theft, big deal right now. Really big deal. Identity theft is one of the, if not the fastest rising crime right now. So what you want to do is be on the lookout on your credit report constantly. Now, there's a lot of monitoring services that are available that will tell you when there's a change on your credit report, which is great. So this will help you in monitoring any type of changes that occur on your credit report that you may or may not be aware of, because you're not checking it, right? If you don't have a monitoring service, you have to do it manually. So I highly recommend you actually have a monitoring service. My FICO is one I personally have used myself. They're really good. I have no affiliation with my FICO, by the way. I'm just letting you guys know I use it, and they're pretty good. Credit Karma is good about making you aware of changes on your credit. The credit score, don't pay any mind to the credit score on Credit Karma, but they are good about letting you know when there's a change, right? So if there's a change on your Credit Karma will let you know. They do. That's what's about what only thing that they're good for is, they'll let you know that there's a change on your credit report. So no matter what you do, you want to have something that's helping you keep track of what's going on with your credit report. All right. You don't want to be a victim of identity theft. It is miserable. I've never had it happen to me. I know plenty of clients where it's happened to them, and it is an absolute nightmare when that happens. So that is this week's training. All right. 7 ways to manage your credit. If you want me to send you this presentation, I will be glad to. Just shoot me a DM, hit me up, Facebook, Instagram. I'm there. You can find out any additional information that you want on credit, ownership, anything related to owning a home. I will have some resources at the my website, which is www.texasmortgageboss.com. And next week, we're going to continue this series. All right. So next week, we're going to talk about credit myths. All right. There's a lot of them out there, a lot. The funny thing is, every time you start looking into purchasing a home, everybody has advice for you, right? Everybody, even people that don't own homes have advice for you when you want to go purchase a home, which is kind of odd. How are you telling me and you don't own a home? But anyway, I digress. So next week, we'll talk about credit myths. And if you have questions about anything else, let me know. See you guys on the next video.